friends, welcome back to my channel. We're here today with a week 6, almost unbelievable, but we are at week 6 of the Run Rat Reads Summer Reading Challenge, which also means we're like middle of the summer. Sorry, don't hate the messenger, even if you hate the message. But yeah, today is our week 6 check-in on the Run Rat Reads Summer Reading Challenge, and so this is my printable because mine is in black and white. See the description box down below if you want to get more information on where to find the tracker. I know there's some people who are still joining the challenge, and there is time because it's 14 books and you still have 6 more weeks to read, or 7. I think it's 7 weeks, right? 13 weeks of summer. Yeah, so you still have time to read is what I'm saying. I am progressing slowly. So today I'm going to chat a little bit about my progress with the challenge, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below how you've been doing with the challenge. So these are the prompts. Each of the prompts represents a letter in Run Write Reads. So the first prompt was to reread a book, any book, and I reread Demon Copperhead, and I told you about that in my week 3 check-in. Oh, I should apologize for not having checked in last week and the week before. I intended to, but I was just like knee deep, elbow deep, ankles deep. I don't know. I was deep in reading books for the BookTube prize. Just some of the other things that I intended to do just didn't happen. So sorry about that, but yeah. So I've reread a book, and I talked about that in my week 3 check-in. So I reread Demon Copperhead, and I told you about that book, which I love, and I am so excited that it is still in the running for the BookTube prize. BookTube prize finalists were announced yesterday, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the links down below. Search BookTube prize and you will find that there is a prize here on YouTube, BookTube, being judged by people like you and me, just regular people who love books. And one of the things that I found fascinating is that the 2 books that won the Pulitzer this year, Trust by Hernan Diaz and Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver, I'm tickled that those 2 books are finalists for the BookTube prize. And so the Pulitzer judges couldn't decide between which book was the best representation of literature this year in the United States, of course. And the BookTube prize is open is open to books from other places, but the BookTube prize, as far as I know, there cannot be 2 winners. So it's going to be interesting to see how the judges, whether Demon Copperhead or Trust or another of the 6 finalists, which of those books will win. I am really looking forward to seeing that, and I'm also really appreciative that even though I am a judge for the finals, I am not a fiction judge. I'm judging non-fiction this round. 3 of the books that are finalists I already read in the semifinals, so I only have 3 books to read for the finals, and I'm even more tickled by that, but tickled in a more appreciative way. Going back to the challenge, so the first prompt on here was to reread any book, and I read Demon Copperhead. All of that to say that. Next is to read an underrated book, underrated author, and I haven't tackled that one yet. I don't think so. I mean, technically I've read a lot of books that aren't featuring in this challenge, but I would like to kind of read something specific. A specific author that I think is underrated. So I'm going to come back to that. Then the new prompt was to read a book that was published in 2022 or 2023, and I am currently buddy reading The Puzzler by A.J. Jacobs with Patrice Jones, and we're reading this slowly. I think we're going to finish it sometime in August, so at one point during the check-in I'll be able to tell you that I've finished this book, but not yet. So that's my book that I'm reading as a new publication. Then for read a book with a weird title, I have some contenders. Like, I could use this, which I read for the BookTube prize, My 4th Time We Drowned. Usually when you hear about someone drowning, they are no longer alive to use a past tense speech to say We Drowned. So that's a weird title. I'm gonna say I could use this, but I also want to see if I could find another book. I want to find a book. I kind of want to find a book with a really weird title. So I'm leaving that out for now. Then the next prompt was the red, white, and blue prompt. Read a book with 2 or 3 of the United States flag colors on the cover. And I read The Black Echo by Michael Connelly. And I talked about that in my previous check-in as well. The ice cream prompt, I haven't yet read anything that has ice cream on the cover or mentions ice cream, so that's still blank for me. Graphic, read a graphic memoir, graphic novel, manga, comic, and I did. I read Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. This one is about a relationship that develops between 2 boys. Different phases of that relationship. So we see a friendship, we see admiration, we see them play together in sports. We also see one trying to help the other because he is being bullied or victimized in some way. And I admire how the author writes about these different experiences of a relationship. As people grow in closeness with each other, they occupy different roles in each other's lives. I like that. What I found really dissatisfying about this book was that it ends on kind of a cliffhanger. Like I don't feel like a book has to be on a cliffhanger in order for me to be interested enough to pick up the next in the series. So I guess it's not a sequel. This is volume 1. I'm assuming it's just like a natural page break. You have to pick up the next book in order to continue the story. But for me, that's ultimately unsatisfying. Dissatisfying? Which one is the right word? Either way, I'm not sure that I like this enough to pick up the next in the series. So I completed the requirement to read a graphic memoir, and we're going to say that that's it. Next is to read a book with home in the title or is set in your hometown, home state, home country. And so I read this one, Paradise Falls by Keith O'Brien, which is about an environmental disaster that happens in New York State, Niagara Falls to be specific, and Niagara Falls is in New York State, which is where I live now. And so this technically fulfills that prompt because it's set in my home state. But I feel like I want to read a book that's set in my home country of Jamaica. It being August, and August 1st is Emancipation Day in Jamaica. August 6th is Independence Day in Jamaica. I want to read a book that's set in Jamaica. So even though I fulfilled the prompt, technically, I'm going to see if I could do it a little bit better with my original home of Jamaica. So we're going to come back to that. The next is to read a true story, and I'm picking The Facemaker by Lindsay Fitzharris because even though I read 6 books that were nonfiction as I was judging the BookTube prize last round, I'm using this one just because I want to talk about it a little bit more. So The Facemaker is about a man, a plastic surgeon who was working on soldiers who were hurt in World War I. And I used the pun when I talked about this book in my discussion video, my discussion of my experience judging the prize. World War I was in the face of war changed face. Facemaker? Pun intended. So, you know, with World War I, we started to see the birth of chemical warfare and machine gun fire, people being shot at as they came out of the trenches, the soldiers, a lot of them having facial injuries, but also chemical burns from chlorine gas and all the other ways that people got hurt during the war. And when their facial structure was compromised, when the nose cartilage was lost, or the lips were burned off, and their sensory activity was impaired, but also people who had facial issues, some of them just could not return to normal lives. And so it was very important, not just medically, but also in terms of integrating people back into society. It was very important, very necessary for them to have facial surgeries. And so we read about the advent and the development, the progress of facial surgeries during this time. And so this was a really, really informative and immersive read. And so I was really, really happy to read it and want to recommend it. So it didn't move on in the BookTube Prize finals. It's not a finalist. So it's one of the reasons that I chose to talk about it here, just so maybe you could hear a little bit more about it. Maybe you're not going to watch my discussion video about my experience reading the BookTube Prize books. So I thought I'd mention it here so you could hear a little bit about it. So definitely want to recommend The Face Maker, and I use that to fulfill the prompt of read a true story. So I haven't yet tackled the romance prompt, read a romance or anti-romance book. For easy book, I read Charlotte's Web by E.B. White, which I talked about in my previous check-in video. I haven't yet tackled read a collection of poems, essays, or stories. That anthology prompt is still open for me. I have an idea of the book that I want to read, I just haven't picked it up yet. And then I intended to, like fully intended to read this book last week. Had a whole vlog set up to finish it and didn't finish it. So this is One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich, and I am hoping to get back to this and finish up that vlog, and that will fulfill the prompt of read a book with day in the title. Final prompt is to read a book that is set in the Caribbean, and we read The Farming of Bones by Edwidge Danticat for the Run Write Reads book club in July. So I'm going to be doing a discussion video of this, so I'll talk a little bit more about it in that video. But for now, I'll just say this one is set in the 1930s in the Dominican Republic. We're reading about Amabel, who is a young woman from Haiti who has been living and working in the DR, and her plans to return to Haiti at a time when the violence and genocidal violence breaks out in Dominican Republic. We'll be talking more about this in an upcoming video, so look out for that. But yeah, those are the books that I read so far for the Run Write Reads Summer Reading Challenge. So let me know in the comments down below how you've been making progress, what books you've been picking up, if you've been enjoying them. I have. And of course, if you are new to hearing about the challenge, yes, there's still time for you to join. So let's chat in the comments down below. Let's talk about how you can amp up your participation so you can still make the September 23rd deadline to finish the books that you're going to be reading for this challenge. Would love to hear from you in the comments, so let's chat down there. And until we come back for another video, happy reading. Bye.